Do you have any idea about how to hide this Skype window?
You can just close it.
Oh, thank you. So once you logged into AWS Management Console, click on EC2. So yesterday we created Windows Mission, right? So any questions on that? So now we'll create Linux Mission. Go to instances, launch instance, and you can select any one of the Linux missions. You can type Linux. Okay, there are so many Linux missions are available. You can take anyone, you'd be fine. So Amazon Linux 2 AMI, there are different types of versions are there. Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. Okay, so now you can select anything. So now today I will be selecting Linux 8 RHCL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So now select the free tier eligible. Always I'll choose T2 Micro. Click on next. By default I will choose only one instance. Leave it as it is. Click on add storage. But initially Linux machines they will start with a 10 GB of storage. Okay, so please if you want you can increase your wish, but you don't store any data, right? My recommendation, please do not increase the storage. Click on next, add tags. So name, example, this is a Linux server, right? Linux server 01. This is the way I'm creating. Click on next. Now use existing security group and review on launch. When you click on launch, so you know you need a key pair. So Windows key pair you should not use for a Linux machine. You can create a new key pair for them. So go to click down your list and create a new key pair. And so what is the key pair we are selecting? Linux. Previously we have selected existing key pairs AWS Win 7 PM, right? So I'll select AWS Linux 7 PM. Now download key pair into the desktop. Key pairs, save. Close it here. Launch instance. So I told you, know it will take a minimum 4 minutes. The machine will create the backend storage and configuration, everything. So the machine will need to sit any one of the hypervisor in the location. So that it will take a placementation. The placement it will take 4 minutes. The configuration, network, everything. Click on view instances. So let's wait for 3 minutes. So the question is Windows using
Windows.
RDP protocol. Go for mute. I'm getting echo. So he's asking question Windows you are using RDP protocol. We can connect remotely Windows server. And for Linux machines, we are using SSH protocol for connecting Linux machine. Is there any other protocol which we need to learn? That's your question?
Right.
Okay, fine. So the purpose of the job today, remotely connecting. Remotely connecting, so Windows machines and Linux machines, the protocols are same everywhere in entire world. No changes at all. So RDP protocol used for Windows, SSH secure shell protocol for Linux. For any other job purpose, we have to change it. Example, you are connecting web server remotely. You are connecting web server remotely. You can use the port HTTP or HTTPS. You are connecting web server remotely. What is the port number? HTTP, HTTPS. You are connecting remotely file transfer. You are connecting remotely file transfer. What is the port number you are using? FTP,
Uh,
file transfer protocol.
Sorry, Mahesh. So when you use the word web server, do you mean by the website?
Yes, that's correct. Website is hosted on the web server.
Okay.
Okay. And you're sending email to your clients and might be you're receiving. So SMTP, simple mail transfer protocol. So we need a SMTP protocol we need to allow. So what is the job it is required to perform on your network? That protocol we need to enable on the where in security group. Understand? So when you click on security group, someone is asking question. Please wait. Let me finish this topic. Okay. So when you click on the security group, when we edit the inbound rules. Example. See, different types of protocols are available. Different types of protocols are available. That also very limited protocols only. Okay. So basically network, there are hundreds of protocols are available. There are hundreds of protocols available. So for example, go to Google, port list in network. We can click on that. You can check this list. Okay. You can check this list. If we have a time, we can go through it. But I know you will not be remember all the port numbers. You will not remember all the port numbers. So how the ports are categorized? How the ports are categorized? That's very important question. So now that I will discuss first. Basically, the ports are categorized. The ports are categorized. There are three sections: registered ports, well-known ports, dynamic ports. Understood? So these are the ports ranges. The ports are divided into three. Basically, these ports we called as logical ports. These ports we called as logical ports. Do you have any other ports? Mostly you're using in your system. Any idea? Have you heard the name called? Sorry?
HTTP 88.
No, no, no. That is the logical port only. That is a logical port only. Okay.
Okay.
Apart from the logical port, do you have any idea? So we have another ports called as physical ports. Do you have any example for physical ports?
USB.
That's correct. USB, HDMI,
Yeah.
VGA, mini DP, DIVX. So there are physical ports available, so which you can see, you can touch and feel in your physical machine. So mostly is the front and back end side will be there. This is your physical ports that will be available on your physical system. LAN port. Hmm? So these are the things. So logical ports are to transfer the data from one place to another place with the help of services. So they will use it, logical ports. So these logical ports are categorized into three groups: registered ports, well-known ports, dynamic ports. So go to Google, registered ports range. Registered port range. So this is the registered port range. Okay. So we can go to this link. You can verify it if you have a time. Okay. Basically, these are the ranges will be available. So well-known ports and registered ports. So when we are learning previously, so we have a dynamic ports also. Now the concepts are changed. So well-known ports are from 1 to 1023. Registered ports are from 1024 to 65,535 ports are available. So basically the calculations will be previously. So registered ports 1 to 1023 and well-known ports 10242 to 49,151, and these ports are 49,152 to 65,151. That's correct. Sorry, 535. 65,535. So this is the range will be there. Okay, anything would be fine. If you want, you can note down. That's not an issue. So whatever the port we are discussing, that will be is under the range. Registered port. Okay, registered port. Someone is telling a port number 8080. Who's can tell me? Port number 8080. Okay. So 8080 is basically it is a well-known ports. So basically, if in your server, in your network, there is already web server is running, that is a port number 80. We cannot use another port number 80. So that service you can be converted into between these ports, well-known ports 10242 to 49,151. Any one of the port you can use it. So mostly 80, 80, 80, 81. So like that they will maintain it. Okay. So going forward we will see, not an issue. There's some other question they are asking. Who's this? Can tell me? No questions? Let's come back to that class. I'm not creating any ports here. So instance is ready now. So as we discussed, what port we need to enable on the security group for Linux machine?
SSH.
SSH. So go to security groups. I can click on security group. And do you see any SSH port number here? No. Click on edit inbound rule, add rule, select SSH, custom, anywhere, save rules. That's it. So we enabled
Uh,
SSH port on the security group.
if I have SSH port, then I don't need to change anything, right?
I don't know what you're telling.
No, I'm saying in the security group, if I already have SSH port, then I don't need to change anything.
Yeah,
I don't need to edit anything.
that's it. So
Okay.
we don't want to change anything. If SSH port is already allowing, you don't want to add additional thing. Okay, so how to connect a Linux machine remotely? How to connect? So Windows machines we are using MSTSC, but MSTSC it won't work for Linux machine. So we need tools. Do you have any idea the tools names?
Putty.
Yes, Putty is a tool we can connect Linux machines remotely. Any other tool name?
PuttyGen.
Okay, next. So there is another tool name called Mobaxtrem. Mobaxtrem is a tool we can connect Linux machines. Okay, so PuttyGen is not a tool to connect Linux machine. Okay, it's basically is a key generator. Okay, it's a key generator. It's not connectivity tool. It's a key generator. So PuttyGen. So Putty tool, yes, we can connect to the Linux machines. So before you want to connect to Putty, okay, so basically you already created instance in EC2, right? So we have already a key is available. What key is available? Linux key pair is available. So the key pair we directly it will not support. Directly it is not support. So first the key pair we need to use in PuttyGen, and we need to create a private key. So I'll show you how to create a private key. So first of all, uh, open key pairs. Open key pairs. What is your key pair? AWS Linux Windows 7 PM PEM file. So that file we had to use it in PuttyGen, and we had to extract the ppk file. So I'll show you how to save the private password key file. Private password key file. So first open the PuttyGen. There is option called load. So select the key pair folder, select all files, and select the PEM file for the Linux key pair. So AWS Linux 7 PM. Open it. Successfully imported. Now save private key. Save private key. Click on yes. So in the same name I will save it. So what is the name? What is the name? All files for better understand. AWS Linux 7 pm.ppk. This is the format. AWS Linux 7 pm.ppk. That's it. Now you can close it. You can check the ppk is created. So by using the ppk file, you can connect to Linux machine. So close them and open Putty. And what is the IP address? Select your Linux server and go to public IP, copy it, paste here. So what is the connection type? SSH. Open SSH, authentication, browse it, and use your ppk file. So which one? The first one, AWS Linux 7 pm.ppk. Use it. So now click on open. Now it will asking for security alert. Yes, it will directly log into your Linux machine. So what is the username for Linux machine in EC2? The username is EC2 hyphen user. Sorry, EC2 hyphen user. EC2 hyphen user. That's it. So my imported OpenSSH key also successfully granted. Now I logged into the machine. So as of now, anyone have any questions?
In PuttyGen, you save the key as a private or public?
Private,
Private, okay.
in the format of .ppk. Okay, who are all interested to attend Linux class? Who are all attend Linux class?
When it will be.
Getting started Linux class, I will start separately, not included in this timing. So if you'd like to join only weekends, not this weekend, next weekend I will start a batch. Okay, so that is only the concept of who don't have an experience on the Linux. So we will take you the basics. So I'll not include it in these timings. Okay, so mostly Saturday, Sunday.
Only basics are in depth.
Basics means uh, if you are an AWS administrator, so what level of your knowledge you required, that much of knowledge I will share on the concept. Okay, basically that concepts, the training is not included in the course. So basically I'm giving the complimentary for each and every student. Okay,
Okay.
fine. So who are all interested, please join that. Not an issue. I'll inform to our organizer, so he will be coordinating with us. Okay. There are so many people will be joining in that, so you can join and you can learn some basics and how to use and commands and all, so you can explore your knowledge on that area. Okay. So now I just completed the Linux installation and connected method. So any questions, please let me know. So this is the Linux machine is the command line interface. So do you want to log into a admin level? So this everything will be covered in Linux class. So what are the file formats, zips, how to convert, how to install the services, admin mode, root methods, all these things will be discussed in that area. Okay. So mostly uh, in this area only GUI method, CNLI method is there. GUI method everything will be covering in Linux basic class. So I'll close it, the Linux server. So my job is over. I'm deleting immediately. I don't want to spend this section. So today we completed EC2 instances, Windows, Linux. So the lab is completed. So now I move to the another service. So EBS. So EBS is basically the storage concepts. So we already have some experience on so your C drive, D drive, and file system, folder structure, permissions and all. So the same kind of structure will be explained in Amazon Web Services. So the block level storage concept will be with EBS service. So these are the points we'll be covering in this module. So let's go to that. So storage types. So basically there are four storage types are there. So one is a DAS, NAS, SAN, and internet storages. So first one, direct attached storage. So mostly in your physical system, you already connected a CD drive, DVD drive, external hard disk, USB drives, optical drives, pen drives, etc. That's mainly it is called a dash storage. Okay, that is that also the dash storage also will be coming with the Amazon Web Services EBS only. Example, just now we created Linux instance. When we creating Linux instance, immediately there's a 10 GB volume is created. Did you notice that? Even yesterday we created Windows instance. The 30 GB of volume is created. So in that it clearly mentioned that is a EBS volume, the root volume. So that will be considering as a dash storage, directly attached storage. Whatever we are learning today, dash concept is completely related to EBS. Okay, directly attached storage in AWS is called EBS now. So now there is a network attached storage, NAS. So what is use of NAS? Example, we have a project is running, there are 20-30 people are working. So there's a common project files will be shared in a certain area, in a particular folder, shared folder, and you people will be accessing that. So mostly in our offices, like we are used Windows machines or Linux machines basically. So in Windows machines we used NFS, network file share. Okay, network file share for Linux, Unix, SMB file system, CFS file system, Windows. So there are different types of file system they will use it. So whatever it is, they will use it. The concept called NFS, network file share. So the same network file share, the concept is used for sharing the drive, the folder over the network. So only within the office we can able to connect it. Within the office we can connect it. That is called NFS. So, but guys, NFS classes also will be sharing in Linux class as well as Windows class. Okay, I told you no, I will not disturb your AWS course. AWS course. So we have a separate classes will be conducting on weekends. So Windows basics and networking basics and Linux basics. Please attend those courses. Understood. So that will help you to understand more knowledge on AWS, Azure, Citrix, VMware, other technology, other administration courses. You don't have a basic knowledge, you cannot much experience and exploring on the each services. So the NFS concept I will explain in Windows and Linux in that weekend classes. Please attend it. And especially in AWS, the same concept will be explained with the EFS, Elastic File Services, Elastic File System. So here we will create a Elastic file. That folder will be accessed over the your within the network. So example, you are created Windows machines. There are 10 Windows machines you created for a project, but you feel that there is a confidential data, the project important files you want to share in a common location. So go to EFS file system and you can create it and you can share your data and you can access it. So at present we are not cover this EFS. It will take minimum 1 week of time to cover that topic. So there are so many topics in between that. So just ahead, I'll give you the information. Elastic file system is a different service is available in AWS. We will learn later. So a shared folder cannot be formatted. So this folder wherever we created in the EFS file system, that cannot be formatted. Understood? Any questions in the NAS? Let's move to the SAN. So SAN means storage area network. Do you have any experience on SAN? Any idea about the how the SAN is working? No idea? Have you heard the name called uh, EMC Square, Hitachi, Veritas? No? Kishore?
I had that, but I don't have any experience on that.
Okay, just at least you have an idea about the brand names, huh? Brand names
Ah,
enough.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't want experience and all knowledge. At least brand name. Okay.
I know, I know.
Yes. So I'll take a small picture. So how it look likes. Okay, the SAN will be connecting. So SAN is not available in cloud, so we are not working on that. So the completely it's in your physical environment we will use it. So I'll give you some small experience on that. Okay. Example, this is your SAN server. Hmm? This is your SAN server. What is the brand? We'll take Hitachi. Hmm? Hitachi SAN. Hitachi SAN. What you will create it in the backend in the Hitachi SAN? They have multiple hard disks with big capacity. They will store it. So we have a server. We have a servers. Example, there is an application server. There is an application server. There is a app server. They want to place their data. They want to place their data into somewhere else. So for fast access, redundancy, so our project lead was decided to store the data on Sandbox. So they are connecting each other. They are connecting each other. So between the app server and Hitachi SAN. But the app server and Hitachi SAN, they'll be connecting through some a network devices. So do you have any idea between the two servers there are some devices which will help to connect it. So you have any idea what are the devices which will help us?
Switches,
Switches, then
firewall.
firewall, next. Okay, even you are using switches, firewalls, we need some cables we are connecting the devices. Cables, right? Even though you are
Yes, yes.
accessing internet, so there are two types of cables. What are the cables names? Ethernet cables and fiber channel cables. So example, so this is your fiber channel cable. Okay, this is your iSCSI cable. Okay, this is FC cable. This is iSCSI cable. iSCSI stand for Internet Small Computer System Interface. The Ethernet cables we are using. Okay, so based upon your budget of the SAN, we are connecting that. So the SANs are two types. One is a FC channel storages and iSCSI channel storages. Okay, so if you are using if you're using a SAN FC SAN, store the data. Either you have a iSCSI SAN, we can store the data. So instead of I'll be using app server, guys, we have a much experience in the last class, Zen server. Yes or no? Zen server. What is a Zen server? What is a Zen server, guys?
Hypervisor,
Hypervisor, right? Is a hypervisor. So what is the use of hypervisor? We are creating a
virtual machine.
VMs, right?
VMs.
We are creating a virtual
VMs.
machines. Okay, my question is, if you're creating a virtual machines, okay, if you're creating a virtual machines, example, we are creating a virtual machines on the hypervisor. So where the data will be saved? So definitely the local storage of Zen server. Yes or no? Unfortunately, if Zen server is down, unfortunately your Zen server is down, what will happen? The virtual machine data also will be in Zen server only. Will you able to connect if the server is down physically? If the network is down, are you able to connect the virtual machine data?
No.
No. So our project is decided to store the VM's data in SAN. VMs in SAN. So for that reason, I'm connecting my Zen server with my Hitachi SAN, either with a fiber channel or iSCSI SAN. So depends upon the SAN model, I'll use either fiber channel cable or maybe iSCSI. So example, to store the virtual machine on SAN, I need some storage capacity. I need a storage capacity. So normally in your system, the storage capacity will be measured with the drive, D drive, E drive, F drive, like that. So D drive we have a 200 GB, E drive will be 100 GB, like that you will be creating, right? So same way in your project, to store your data on SAN, you will be ordering you're requesting the some capacity from the SAN. So you're sending a request to SAN administrator. Hey, I need a 1 TB of SAN storage. I need a 1 TB of SAN storage. So the storage, the capacity will be resolved with the LUN. Okay. The storage capacity resolved with the LUN. Example, this is the LUN which is created. The LUN is created. Example, the LUN is looking like a folder, but that is a capacity. How much capacity it is? How much we requested?
1 TB.
Yes, 1 TB.
1 TB.
1 TB storage we selected. But how we need to connect the Zen server to your LUN? So this is your 1 TB LUN. This is 1 TB LUN. How should I connect your LUN? So you definitely connect with the FC or iSCSI. But if you're using FC protocol, FC channel, so the LUN will be access to your Zen server WWN number. So if you're using FC cable, the address will be accessed with the format of WWN number, worldwide number. Worldwide number. If you are using iSCSI, any idea? IQN number. iSCSI qualified number. iSCSI qualified number. So this is a way you can connect your LUN remotely with the help of the middle protocols like FC protocol or iSCSI protocols. Is any questions? Everyone is clear? So how the SAN will be working? So what is the logic we will be connecting? What is the terminology? So even though you don't have an experience, just you have a keep it an idea. So this is a way our Zen servers will be connected like that. So even in AWS also, our data center, our virtual machines, which is connected kind of SAN only, but that information is not disclosed outside. That information is not disclosed outside. Definitely 99.9% all the companies they will use SAN to store the virtual machine data. Even though they'll not use a SAN, at least they will use NAS. Why? Any reason?
For store data.
Budget. Both are
Budget.
store the data only. Budget. SAN is a high
Budget.
cost. Okay,
Mm.
that's a reason. Okay, I'm moving back to that concept that we understood, right? So everything. Let's move to cloud storages. So cloud storage is nothing but accessing the storage over the internet. So nowadays we are familiar with the Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox. So that we already regularly we are using. Even AWS also supported cloud storages. That's called internet level storage. That is called S3 and Glacier. These are the two services, and we will going forward we will learn S3 and Glacier. Okay, so as of now everyone is clear what are the storage types and models, and in especially in cloud, in normal world to cloud world, so what are the terms we are using, whether we are supporting or not, very clear, right? So so let's go to understand EBS. So shall we start the lab EBS? So how to access the EBS console, and how to create a volume, and how to access it. So I will set up the lab. So anyone have an idea, questions, please let me know. I'll directly jump into the lab now. Fine. I think so. Now I'll log into the AWS management console. So first, let's go to EC2. I will create one Windows instance. The previous Linux instance I will shut down. I'll stop it. I'll create a new instance, a Windows instance. 2019. So I'll create very fast because of so many times we already created. If you have any doubts, you can let me know. See here, this 30 GB is coming with EBS volume only. Okay, just now we explained that. So now we have any additional volumes also you can create. So for even this volume also coming from EBS. So example, I'll create a 8 GB of storage, and this will be, I'll be make it 20 GB. Okay. Next, add tags. So name will be web server 1. Next, add an existing security group. Next, review, launch, use existing key pair. So AWS Windows 7, I acknowledge it, launch instance. So I got a message. The launch failed because of the volume of the size 20 GB smaller than snapshot, because AWS will follow some basic structure that will not bifurcate that. So if your 30 GB is there, we can please 30 GB. Please do not change it. So you can increase it. If you want, you can increase it. That's not a problem. Please make it 30 GB. So back to review screen, previous, 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 and make it 30 GB. Next, next, create existing security group, launch, use AWS Windows 7 PM. Now instance is created. So you know, right, it will take a minimum 4 minutes of time to connect the Windows machine. So meanwhile we will check EBS volumes. EBS volumes. So where it will be available EBS volumes? In the left side, we have a elastic block storage section will be there. So please go to that and go to volumes and go to volumes. So here previously I created Linux machine, the 10 GB is showing, and web server 1 I created, so by default 30 GB, and additionally I created 8 GB. So these two drives are available right now. Understood? So whatever the virtual machine you created, the respect to the region, the volumes will be listed in the EBS store under the volumes. Got it? Any doubt? So now I will create additional volume for web server 1. I'll create a additional volume for web server 1. How to create additional volume? Create a volume. Very simple step. So the here the volume type, we have a these many types are available: general purpose, provision IOPS SSD, cold HDD, throughput, optimized hard disk, magnetic. So this concept I will explain tomorrow with what is the purpose of the disk we are using, and one by one we will discuss that. So at present I'll be selecting default general purpose. Okay, the general purpose, the SSD. So the size by default will be showing 100. Please do not create 100. So unnecessarily your billing will be charged. Better create 5 GB enough for you. Only for practice purpose, right? You can create 5 GB. So minimum 1 GB to maximum 16,384 GB you can create. That is a 16 terabyte of storage. Okay. So please check that. And IOPS means input output per second. That's the connectivity speed, 3,300 by 3000. That's the capacity of baseline. So now in the Mumbai region, in which availability zone you are creating, that's very important. So first we need to check your instance is created in which availability zone. How to check? So I'll make it a duplicate screen, the tab, go to instances, go to instances, and you can check web server 1. See here, AP South 1A. It is created in AP South 1A. So you need to create volume also AP South 1A only. Should not create in another availability zone. AP South 1A. And now, so do you want any snapshot ID? Snapshot ID means, what is the requirement of snapshot? Example, the snapshot I will discuss later. I'll give you just brief information. Do you want to create a volume with some previous backup file that you can immediately you can take it with the snapshot? Okay. So now at present I'm not selecting this. snapshot encryption also. I'm giving the name tag. So what is the drive name? Web server 1 additional storage. Additional storage. So create a volume. So volume is created. This is a volume ID. So every volume we have a unique volume ID will be there. Okay. So web server 1 additional storage is created. So it is available means no one is using. So in use means already using. So shall we connect the Windows machine now? Go to instances, select your web server 1, right click, get Windows password, choose file. Now go to desktop, key pair, this file, decrypt. This is the password. Uh, Copy, close it. Go to run mstsc. IP address is 13.127.150.153. Administrator, password, login. Yes. So I successfully connected Windows 2019 virtual machine instance. So yeah, network also connected properly. Open File Explorer, go to this PC. So at present C drive is available. But when at the time of instance creation, I additionally created 8 GB of EBS volume, right? Why it is not showing here? Any problem? Any problem?
We need to attach there.
Attach. But it is already in use. When you go to volumes, the additional 8 GB also, it is in use. But why it is not showing? Any reason behind that? No idea? So first of all, go to run, type the command called disk management, disk mgmt.msc, disk mgmt.msc. So see, the 8 GB is offline disk. So we had to bring it to online. Then we need to initialize the disk. Click OK. Then we need to create a volume. Create a volume. That's it. So now the D drive will be created. You can now check this. But what about additionally we created 5 GB volume is not showing here in the disk management. Any problem? Any problem? So we created volume in the EBS section. Okay. Have you attached to any of the instance? Have you attached to any of the instance? No. So select the instance, sorry, select the volume, go to actions, attach volume. So do you want to attach volume to instance, right? You can click on here, and which one you want to attach? Do you want to attach to the Linux server or web server one?
Web server one.
Web server one.
Web server one.
Click attach. Now again in the right side you can check it is an in use. Okay. Still it is loading. Please wait for some time. Guys, again I'm telling, once your job is completed, immediately you can delete it. Okay. So next, there's a 5 GB is added. Same step. Right click, bring into online. Right click, initialize the disk. So now, do you want to create a new volume or you want to expand existing volume? Your wish. Do you want to extend the previous volumes? That means the,
Extend the value.
yeah. So extend your previous drives, the volumes you can extend it. So the C drive, it is not showing up. The C drive is not showing up, but additional drives can be possible. Additional drives can be possible. So shall I extend the 8 GB drive? Can we do that? So right click, extend volume, next. Is a 5 GB is available, add, next, finish. Yes. So now both are in pairing state. Pairing state means both are spanned disk. We called as couple of disks will be coming together. They'll give you a high amount of storage. Understand? So this is called spanned disk. So the layout will be calling spanned disk. Okay. So now once you refreshed, it will be showing 13 GB of storage. 13 GB of storage. But how can increase the C drive?
Okay.
Yeah, that's your question. Hello?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So how can increase C drive? So that's a very simple task. I'll show you. So there's existing volume is 30 GB, right? You can select the 30 GB volume, go to actions, modify volume, modify volume. So now we have a 30 GB, right? So now change to 35 GB. Okay. So how much you increased? 5 GB. Understood? Not 35 GB. Previously 30, I changed to 35. That means only 5 GB I'm adding. Modify. Yes. So do you lose the data when you increasing the drive?
No.
No, that's correct. So that is the beauty of EBS. Okay, you will not lose your data. So let's go to your lab, refresh, go to disk management and go to actions, refresh. Actions, refresh. There's a 5 GB is added into C drive. What you'll do? Right click, extend volume, extend volume, 35 GB. Any more questions? No?
Uh, this is the thing. D, these are these spanned. Yes, spanned.
Yes.
But it has gone go to simple C.
Simple means already drive we just increased. Okay. But D
Okay.
drive is not created like that. We created two different volumes and make it to one drive will be showing in the Windows machine. That's called spanned disk.
Suppose we want to increase the D drive,
Yeah,
same.
yeah, same process, same process. Either,
What has been done in the C.
yeah, you can go for either which volume you want to increase, you can increase it. Select, go to actions, modify, increase it. Same steps, no changes at all. Can we decrease that drive? No, it is not possible. Only incremental is possible, decremental is not possible. Extending is possible, decreasing is not possible. Okay, so please keep it in your mind. That's very important for you. So I want to close the call. Anyone have any questions, please let me know. So tomorrow is Saturday, Sunday, no classes. Okay, fine. So next class on Monday.
I want the videos.
Who's asking?
Kishore,
Sure,
it's Kishore.
we'll talk offline. Okay,
Sure,
yeah,
okay, thank you.
thank you.
Requesting for the Saturday and Sunday, is it